The show.
So I actually rewatched the episode, and I didn't think it was that bad the second time around.
No,
You actually enjoyed the show, though.
This is fair. This is very fair. Okay. Well then, I'm just gonna go ahead with the intro then. Okay. All right. Yeah, hello, and welcome to the Advent 7 podcast. I'm your host Andrew, and I'm joined by
the frustrated Trey.
And the Spencer that is just finishing his dinner.
Right. We made sure to wait until you were
ASMR
done,
here, folks.
so our podcast wasn't full of, hamburger munching ASMR. That's not what we're here for today.
I will give the people what they want.
If they want it, they'll put it in the comments, man. I just want people to say in the comments if they like what we're doing or not. But today we are recapping episode 10 of My Teen Romantic Comedy SNAFU Climax. First, let's get some plugs out of the way. Thank you to everyone tuning into our podcast today. It means a lot to us. If you've been keeping up with the show so far but haven't heard our previous recap podcasts, please go check them out. There will be links in the description below. For all the latest news and content on anime, video games, and comics, please follow us on Twitter at advent_7, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out more of our content at advent7.com. With that out of the way, on to the episode. We start off with the prom, and the prom's getting ready to go, boys. We actually got to see it.
We're at the prom, yay!
The prom actually shows up. We're not going to have to wait a whole year of their time at school to actually see it. It's just going to happen now. So
I told you.
You did tell us. This is true. Yeah, to clarify the confusion that Trey and I had last episode, this prom is happening for the current graduating class. So,
but they already graduated, so it's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, you can still have events that celebrate the alumni or something. Consider it like an alumni event. Yeah, proms normally happen before the end of the school year. I guess they missed that detail in the movies they watched.
Minor details.
Yeah, right. Not a big deal. We start off with the prom, and it hasn't quite started yet, but it's the day of. They're getting things rolling, and Hikigaya and Yui show up. And they do end up helping. We all knew that they would. And Yukino apparently is just gotten over it. She's realized that they were going to be there one way or another, so she's just accepted their help by this point. Yui decides to go work the reception desk, but Hikigaya can't do that because he's Hikigaya. Not gonna have him scaring people away.
He's just got one of those faces. He'll just scare everyone off.
Mm-hmm. It's the dead fish eyes.
He's a creepy boy. Just a creepy boy.
Apparently.
As everyone in the show keeps telling him as much.
Yeah, which is still not fair, but I mean, he's dulled to it by this point, so. So instead...
yes, thank you for giving me that observation.
Yeah. No, instead, Hikigaya, he goes to work the PA booth, kind of up on the second floor where he can look out on the event and, support up there. That really is better suited for him anyways, because he's good at, organizing things and kind of helping to plan stuff. So, oh yeah, but before the prom officially gets going, he's managing some of the audio equipment down on the first floor by the stage, and he runs into Yukino. And what happens there?
They just start kind of reminiscing about the last time that they had to do all this for the culture festival. It was like, oh, those headsets, those take me back. And Hikigaya is just feeling all kind of nostalgic, and this kind of hits Yukino. It's just like, oh, right, yes, these are memories.
Yeah, memories.
These are memories. Yes, moving on.
Yeah, they're
Hikigaya just kind of keeps trying to push a little bit forward. He was like, okay, here's a microphone. Do we need a stand? Oh, how about this? Do we need it to be this height? Yeah, I'll just measure it for you right here just now. He's trying to help.
It's really awkward because as he's trying to help, she says to him, I can handle this kind of thing on my own. And it's like, oh, that ideal that she's forcing herself to do is not permeating even into the little things like setting up a mic stand. Yeah, that was definitely a really awkward conversation, but I mean, like it doesn't end that badly, you know. They just kind of talk about how, you know, Hikigaya says after the prom's over, he will, you know, he'll step aside, you know, he'll kind of stop helping with this stuff. But Yukino calls him out on it and says like, no, I'm pretty sure you're gonna continue helping. That's kind of just your thing. You know, if Iroha wants help, she's gonna get your help because it's Iroha.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way that she'd let go of him that easily. Speaking of Iroha, he ends up working with her directly in the PA booth. And how's that go?
As well as all their interactions go. Literally how all their interactions go. She starts listing off a bunch of random stuff about... First she mentions how Hikigaya and Yukino don't really need an interpreter anymore. I feel like the audience still needs an interpreter because, god damn, two just can't say what's on their minds ever. But yeah, she starts making all these comments about how certain friends act up until they're ready to confess their love for someone, and then she starts doing her immediate turn down of Hikigaya before he even gets a chance to even think about what she's talking about.
Which is a setup because really Iroha was thinking about him. She's doing it for herself now, not to shoot him down. Let's see. There's a point where Iroha asks Hikigaya if he'll quote unquote like, you know, do this again next year. She says we should do this again next year. He says like, next year's my prom, so I don't want to be setting that up. And she says, no, I'm talking about the club, you know, the service club. And, you know, Hikigaya gets led into that. He says, yeah, well, you know, the club will be gone, so there'll be no reason.
Well, he says that he has no control over it.
It's true.
If the club were to exist again, it would be up to Yukino.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, because the service club was really just, at first, just kind of Yukino's just kind of spot until Hiratsuka pushed Hikigaya into it and then led Yui up to them for that first arc. Mm-hmm. Like, it really was just kind of her, like, just thing just to say is like, oh, yes, I'm in a club. But
yeah,
not anymore. And really at this point, the club as it is now is defined by these three. And since they're all three in the same year, really any work that gets done would have to be done by new members if said new members were to actually, well, materialize.
So essentially the club will be gone because there is a very little chance that anybody would come along to replace them. Because like you said, they define the club by this point.
Iroha kind of just takes this as like, oh yeah, the club will be gone. And it's like, and I should probably ask Yukino about this sort of thing if I need help. Mm-hmm. But I can also ask for your help. I'm also going to find a way to get Yui in here as well. I'm just going to have you all on the student council. Like, there's a spot open. It's like, that's a single spot. It's like, we can fudge it a little bit. It'll be fine.
They're just going to fire the vice president. It's just like, wow. That's really mean.
It's like, you guys are useful. I would like to have you around. And then she just kind of whispers in his ear. It's like, I can offer you this excuse. It's like, I can make this happen.
You just have to say the word. We can make it happen. Iroha always gets what she wants. Let's be real.
Yeah. It is a very tempting offer because it would really just kind of continue things on through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's super tempting.
I mean, you know, Hikigaya.
And honestly, I don't really think it's all that bad of an option.
Except they would have to get rid of somebody who actually wants the job.
Hey, they are all useful. They have shown throughout the show that they can totally do the job. It's not like we're putting in incompetent people.
I'm just saying, that person ran for the office and got it. He deserves to keep his office.
I don't know. Because in second
I don't know. I mean, Iroha is the president of this. It's not like this isn't already a popularity race.
Right. And in second season, the rest of the staff didn't seem to really be like enjoying working with her. So if they get an out, if they're able to find an out from the student council, they might take it just so they don't have to work with Iroha anymore.
But they're college transcripts.
Maybe it's not worth it to them. Maybe Iroha is scarier than getting into college.
I mean, did you see how she described how people profess their love for her, and then she just kind of is like, "Oh yeah, how's it going?"
Man,
and she'll just kind of lead them on, and then she'll just stop talking to them altogether, and she's like, "And goodbye, see ya."
It's very painful.
He has seen this happen many a times, apparently.
Yeah, Hikigaya is like, "Don't do this. Please don't do this." Like, all boys need that. They need those layers of excuses in order to, like, you know, be let down easier. You can't just cut them off like this with this sadistic process of yours. But
it's very much of a, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off now.
Again, classic Iroha. What can I say? I mean, Hikigaya even says in that episode to the gamers when he's trying to convince them to help him with the dummy prom, you know, he says like, "Oh, don't worry, you know, Iroha's great. Eventually, you'll just get addicted to all of her cruelness."
and
quote unquote cruelness. We know that she's a pretty good person.
She actually is. Yeah,
she's actually a very nice person. She's been blessed with popularity.
Just very.
She's just so popular. Just like so many people, so much social.
She's very dangerous at the same time.
Yes.
Oh gosh, what happens next? Oh yeah, that's right. The prom. So the prom actually starts, right? And the prom finally gets underway, and what made me a little bit upset about this moment was that half the prom, in fact, most of the prom, is a montage. We just montaged through it. I'm like, no, this was the climax of the season. What do you mean we get a montage? But you know,
the whole season was the climax, Andrew.
The thing is that this isn't their prom. Like,
right?
They're the ones helping out with it, and I didn't really see it coming either, just because I'm coming from my own background of how proms work, and it's not generally like lower classmen that are putting stuff on for the upperclassmen. Like, you hire other people and like teachers and stuff do this stuff. Yeah. Like, it's not them. So them even being there is kind of a oddity to begin with.
Right. They're really just staff working it, and they're only there in place of parents and teachers organizing it because the PTO didn't want to do it in the first place. You know, they had to do this first one on their own to kind of prove its validity, that this is an event that should be held for the student body.
So I'm confused about one thing during the montage. Are they watching anime?
I don't think it was. Like, they're watching something on a projector. I thought I saw Meguri's face up there, so I just assumed it was like, you know, they were showing off videos of their school life or something. You know, like
that was the sports festival. Do you not remember that?
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, granted, I think that
fancy armor. She looks like Asuna.
Yeah, no, I think that was the OVA for season 1. I think that's what that was. Yeah, that's footage from the OVA.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the OVA is really good. That's that's like the second, like, that's the sports festival that they had. It was after.
That's the sports festival.
I don't know if the sports festival was actually canon in the books.
It's an OVA, so probably not.
I can't remember.
Maybe it was, but the OVA was good. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the prom did look really nice. The prom definitely looked nice, and you know, when I rewatched the episode a second time, I didn't really mind it as much seeing the montage because, I mean, we all know that's not really what the focus is here. Like, the focus was all of the, you know, the stress and planning around it, and, you know, trying to help Yukino figure out her own stuff. So, and like you said, Spencer, we're not really supposed to know any of the people who are celebrating the prom. It's just for the upperclassmen.
Apart from like a select few, but even then they don't really matter. Like, the prom was never the end goal. The prom was the plot device driving forward this last arc.
Right. And again, this arc lasted so long. This was most of third season. Compared to the next thing I think about when I think of an arc like this, similar to the prom, is the Christmas planning arc. that Hikigaya and Iroha had with Synergy Man's school. So that wasn't nearly as long, but they did kind of a lead up where the main event was also a montage. So. So yeah, most of it's over by the time we get through the end of the montage, and Hikigaya hooks up with Yui for a bit. They meet up and start talking. And what happens there?
Just so you guys know, Andrew didn't mean like that. Don't get excited.
I'm the hype about the relationship. I'm not gonna lie, it just kind of started dying down the second that he left Yui to walk home alone. That is the critical moment where I started to hate him. Like, I don't hate him entirely, but I hate him enough for all these little things he's been doing since then that I don't even know if I'm really rooting for them to be together by this point. I think Yui could do a lot better, personally. Man, Hikigaya used
Welcome
to be
to reality, Andrew.
He used to be my self-insert character, and now I'm just like, screw you, man. She deserves way better than you. Literally
Does
any
she
other
deserve
guy.
you, Andrew?
No.
Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not me either. I'm an Iroha man. Let's be real. I wanted
Who's
Yui to
not
be with
Iroha,
Hikigaya.
man? Like, come on. It's Iroha.
I wanted Yui to be with Hikigaya because I actually thought they made a good couple early on. But this season has kind of showed to me, it's highlighted their differences and where they are great friends who rely upon each other and help each other out. But it probably isn't meant to go any further than that because it would just be awkward for them. I mean, it's already been awkward for them up until now. So,
Wait for the Clanhead after story.
I don't want that. I absolutely don't want anything like that. We can we can not maybe just not do that.
Just a hot take. I've never actually seen Clanad After Story. I've seen Clanad, but I've never watched After Story because I know that people say that I will cry, and I don't really want to do that just yet.
I haven't seen either.
Just cry, Spencer. Just cry. Yeah. Just let it happen.
I haven't seen either. I don't want to know. I absolutely don't want to know. I know what people say about it. That's enough for me to know. I don't want any kind of after story. As everybody says in this show, let's just end it. Just bring it to an end already. We're ending things.
All right,
How
so yeah,
cruel
back to the prom. So yeah, Hikigaya goes up to Yui, and it's basically the last or second to last dance soon. Mm-hmm. And we get another question of what's your wish? And so Yui's like, I wouldn't mind dancing, and then she tries to take it back, but Hikigaya's like, what would you like to have this dance? Mm-hmm. Not smooth at all, but he offers his hand for a nice slow dance.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet, at least. They got to have this moment, and there wasn't any kind of like really scary thought that happened to either of them during that moment they shared together. It was just a dance.
You can say that it wasn't smooth, but I thought that it was like well done. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's not that sort of dance. It's like, oh yeah, it's not that. It's like, but would you want to dance anyway? It's like, yes, I want to dance anyway.
That's probably what would have happened to me in high school.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh shoot, maybe I should actually offer. Okay, fine, let's dance.
Yeah. It was a nice dance between the two of them. It was kind of Yui's last little hurrah, it seems like.
Who knows? He might still pick her. The show's not over yet.
We don't know.
Don't know. Again, like we've said constantly throughout this podcast series, there's many different routes it can go. Who knows? Maybe that's the biggest reason why we're still here is to find out finally, like, where is he going to end up? That's the big
I'm just sitting here with a tub of popcorn waiting to watch you.
I don't know how I'm going
Trey,
to
though.
react.
He's got a better front row seat for that.
Here's the thing, boys. We got 2 episodes left after this.
Yeah.
Only 2. This whole series has thrown me for so many emotional loops. I really do feel for these characters. They really are 3-dimensional developed characters that struggle with real life emotions. And sure, they overthink stuff way too much, even for teenagers. But at their age, everything is the world to them right now. Everything they're experiencing is all they know. So if they make mistakes, they take it much harder. You know, if they feel like their relationship isn't perfect, they're going to fixate on why it's not perfect and blame themselves for it. This is one of the few shows I've watched that actually decided to go that far, at least in anime. So when we get to the end of this series in 2 more episodes, I'm going to be torn apart. Not just because of the Yui Hikigaya relationship. That is definitely the meme here, and I feel it. I get frustrated about it. I laugh about it. That will make me mad. If what I'm afraid of is going to happen, but I don't know how I'm going to react to the last episode, boys. So your guess is just as good as mine. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
All right, let's move on then. So we get to after Yui and Hikigaya's nice dance, we get to basically the final announcement. Iroha's supposed to be making a final speech, so Hikigaya goes up to the booth, and he's going to be making sure all the cues are right, talking to Yukino, and they kind of have a quiet conversation over their headsets.
Yeah. They banter about Yukino looking up to him, which she's not used to. So it's that usual kind of like joking with each other, but making really harsh comments about each other. And
just their almost usual sharp wit between them. Not quite the same, but very similar.
However, the banter ends the second that Hikigaya mentions something about you're not big enough for the shoulder pain of looking up at me. Just dead silence for a second, and you could see the glare in Yukino's eyes. Just like, what was that?
And it's like, what did you say?
I didn't hear that.
I thought I heard
yourself?
something. Maybe you would like to repeat that.
It's like, what? I can't hear you.
There's static. Sorry, I can't make out what you're saying. I didn't say anything. Yeah,
but you called her that, right? You said the word.
Yeah, I totally said it.
Yeah.
But after their joking conversation, Yukino does say, "I expect you to grant that wish."
It's like, yeah, I guess I'll have to do that.
Mm-hmm. So again, that's another thing that we're going to see how it turns out here in the next episode or 2.
Infinite loop wish.
They're gonna find out. They're all in an infinite loop. I don't know how they're gonna solve it, but we'll find out. But the prom ends, and they move to an after party that happens in one of the school meeting rooms. It looks a lot like the same meeting room where they plan the cultural festival.
Yeah, it's the staff party.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and what happens there?
Well, you see, we get a nice little time. It's just like, oh yeah, it's like, congratulations, job well done. Hiratsuka just kind of nudges Hikigaya, saying, it's like, oh yeah, I totally saw you and Yui dancing with each other. It's like, oh, okay, bye. And then the duo shows up. Yukino's mom and Haruno. So Haruno and Yukino's mom show up, and you expect like something to happen, and like the tension just kind of raises in the room. Everyone else is also just kind of like, oh crap, that's her mom. Oh man, what's going on here?
The whole room is full of other students, and everyone.
Yeah, all the other students are just like, dang, what's going on here?
Yeah, like even people who have no idea, like Tobei is there, and he has no idea what the heck's going on, but even he stops.
Yeah, like everyone realizes that something's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And Yukino's mom, she's just like, oh yeah, you did a good job. Like, you did a good job as the person in charge role here. And Haruno kind of lets slip that this is the sort of career path that she's looking for, and basically forces Yukino to say outright to her mom, just like, I have an interest in dad's job. Like, I want to move forward with that. And Yukino's mom is just like, well, that seems right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you did a good job here. Give it a lot of thought for yourself. This is not something that you have to like decide right now, honey. It's all right.
Yeah, A little bit.
Whatever you decide, I will fully support you because you're seriously considering this. All right, yes, I will give my approval here. And it's like, oh, this is good. However, the music that is playing in the background suggests something is off here.
The music
Something
sting is
off.
It's ramping the tension. It's just like, what is
even
this?
after she says, it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, I'll support you through this. The music is saying otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know if
Yukino's dad do.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't really think it matters.
I mean, it does.
Big and important and managerial.
Yes.
Yeah. CEO of Samsung.
Yeah.
He's over in America right now.
But yeah. Going on from that though, we learn what I've thought this whole time. It's Haruno just continuing on saying, it's like, oh yeah, I used that particular word, like the codependence. Like, it's because I've had 20 years of experience and I've not seen anything here. Like, you have to prove this to me. Like, I'm not going to be satisfied. And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's like, why exactly do we have to impress you? Like, I get that you were the one that was groomed for this whole position and everything, and that you kind of had some stuff taken away and you haven't been able to really deal with it yourself. But why is it that we have to prove anything to you? Like, you are just like hyper projecting on these kids, and it's just really unfortunate.
It's because Haruno is the surrogate for the audience.
No.
I wouldn't say that she's the surrogate for the audience.
Not. No, if I was to pick a character that's a surrogate for me,
I want to see our kids happy. I don't want to see them in distress and terrifying.
But every other phrase she says feels like a fourth wall break. Every other phrase is just like, are you talking about what's actually happening, or are you talking from the perspective of someone who wants the show to end satisfyingly?
This is a good question.
But then, yeah, she says all of that, and she's like, oh yeah, I've got 20 years experience with all this stuff. What you've got going on here isn't genuine. It's like, and then after she leaves, Yukino just kind of looks down, and she's like, oh, she's got all this weight on her, like 20 years of weight. It's like, it's not going to be easy. But then Yui's just kind of like, yeah, but we have a year of our own memories and stuff. Like, that also has weight to it. Doesn't really matter what she said. Like, it matters in her head, but like what they've had so far is worth something. That's what Yui is trying to say in probably not the greatest of words, but
she's saying that the year that the three of them have spent together weighs equally as much as Haruno's 20 years of her own experience, if that's what we'll call it. At least weighs as much. You know, like you said, Spencer, it comes down to just how you perceive it.
It is a question of density.
But Yukino still says that there's like, and this is where we'll end this year, and we just get back into that funk of just like, oh man, like, do we have to? Like, is this really like necessary how this is going on? And
Haruno leaves and side-eyes Hikigaya.
He gets side-eyed by her, and he's eventually going to go out and try and find her. But before that, we've got Hikigaya just leaving before giving some kind of an answer, and Yukino running after him.
Yeah, so after Haruno leaves, you know, Yui mentions the whole, like, yeah, our relationship is equal to Haruno's bullshit. And Yukino makes a comment about, like, you know, that's why I feel like now is a good time to end things. And Yui says, well, I mean, I think we could keep going, but if you feel like now is a good time to end things, then I'll agree with you. And both of them look at Hikigaya, and he doesn't say anything. Like, he actually, like, he's struggling to come up with an answer, which, by the way, is rare. It's rare to see him struggle to provide any kind of answer when in the moment, but that's because this time he's not coming up with a lie or something. He is expected by his two closest friends to be genuine, and you know he still struggles with that. But the second that Iriho walks in the room and interrupts them, he takes that as the opportunity to bail. He
just straight up bails. He leaves the room, and Yukino just chases after him.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that she's sorry for all the trouble that she's caused for him. Like,
Yeah.
they basically just sort of apologize to each other.
Uh-huh.
And Yukino just says, like, thank you for all the things that you've done for me. And from here on out, I'll try to do better.
Yeah.
All the while, she's just holding on to Hikigaya's coat. And when he tries to say, yeah, that's fine, and then he tries to leave, she still is holding on to him. She's not letting go. Like,
her physical
she
actions
really doesn't want this to end. She's these kids have just been pushed to the brink by Haruno, and I just really get annoyed. I'm just like, come on, man.
We can all agree we
And
hate Haruno
Hikigaya just goes through this whole thing where he just one by one removes each one of her fingers from his coat, just so slowly, just to walk away. And
That hurts. That hurt a lot.
oh, it really hurts.
I'm just like, well, this is where I remember that I hate this fucking show. God damn it.
By the way, for the audience, just so you know, he's the only one that hates the show.
Exactly. That's why I said I hate this show.
I still very much enjoy this show. I think it's doing a great job.
Yeah.
But
The show
doing a great job of playing on my fucking
hurts
nerves.
me, and yet I'm still watching. I'm just like, come on. I want to see what you do.
Your masochism will be the end of you, Spencer.
Yukino's physical actions are not reflective of what she's saying. You know, her actual actions still say that she wants to rely on him. She wants to be next to him in the things that she does. But because of all these experiences that have led up until this point, you know, with all the crap that Haruno and her mom have snuck into her brain, she thinks that she's supposed to do something different than what she emotionally wants. There's a disconnect there. And of course, somebody who would be in that kind of situation would be so immensely stressed out that their actions would betray their own words. So, yeah, I felt really bad for Yukino in that moment. I won't lie, like when she shows her face being sad, like she has this forced smile as she's telling him, this is the end, thank you for everything, I'm sorry that I pushed all this onto you, but you know, we're even now, this is the end. Like, she drops the smile and is just staring at him, holding his sleeve. Now, this is the moment where, and I admit that I jump to conclusions sometimes, but I thought this was the moment where he was just going to kiss her.
That's what a normal anime would do.
That's what the normal anime would do. This is just he just pulls her fingers away and then he runs away.
One by
only
one.
to meet Haruno saying,
Like the bitch he is.
I knew you'd run away.
Yeah.
It's like she called it. Manipulative bitch.
And he does tell her, like, well, you're the one that called me out here in the first place. So, you know, what do you want this time? And they get into it from there. But I must say, he went after Haruno instead of Yukino. Physically, at least. Went after Haruno and pushed Yukino away. Holy cow, that is like the worst kind of decision. If anybody else did that in real life, you'd smack them. So be like, dude, this is not the time to leave the much better woman here. But yeah, he does go after her because she baited him out with the conversation that she brought to the three of them earlier. And she reveals that Haruno doesn't care if it's her or Yukino that takes up their father's job. She just wants Hikigaya to give her some kind of ending that will satisfy her desires, her desire to see something genuine, because she still doesn't really believe that there is such a thing. And that's why she's not letting go. You know, with the prom being over, she does tell Hikigaya in that conversation that their mom is not satisfied either. Their mom's not convinced. That's why when their mom said to Yukino that she would support Yukino moving forward with whatever Yukino wanted to do regarding her career, there wasn't a a blatant yes or no, you can do this. In that answer, she just said, I'll support you. But as you guys mentioned earlier, the music was kind of leading the audience to believe, well, that might not be what she really means. We know Yukino's mom never says anything at face value. She says that, nothing's solved yet. I'm not appeased. Mom is not appeased either. So
the audience isn't appeased either.
If you want to end this, you're going to have to show something genuine. Otherwise, I win, basically. She doesn't say that last part, but I mean, she's trying to prove to Hikigaya and the others that she's right. Like, all of this is a waste of time. Because that's how she's satisfied herself up until this point. Yeah, she wants Hikigaya to prove to her that what he has is genuine. Otherwise, everything they've done up until now is pointless, really. That's scary. It's absolutely scary to think that she could be right. That their relationship really is just as hollow as Haruno has kept calling it out to be.
What's really dumb is how Hikigaya kind of agrees with her by saying, I don't think we're close enough to be considered friends.
That one is just kind of like, what are you saying right now? It really feels like he's just kind of like trying to go into battle mode with Haruno, but he's really falling flat on his face. He doesn't really know what to say to her. Yeah.
Haruno even calls him out and says, like, wow, you really drag things out until the very end, don't you? You don't give up easily. Like, it's a little late in the game to be saying something like, you're not really friends here. So she walks out after they have that conversation, and he still follows her out. And he asks her, why is it impossible? And I assume what he's asking about, he's referring to, having a genuine relationship. Haruno answers him and says that the reason why what they're doing is impossible is because what Yukino agreed to do long ago with the wish thing. When Yukino told Hikigaya that she wanted Hikigaya to grant her wish, Haruno calls that nothing but an act of compensation. What do you guys think that means? An act of compensation?
I misread that and read it as compromise, but in general, I'm saying that we all kind of knew that Yukino was, when she said grant Yui's wish, she didn't obviously want to actually make a wish for herself. So she wanted to make someone else happy in the end of all this. And I think Haruno's coming from the perspective of a genuine relationship means that Yukino would never have to give a concession to anyone else.
Mm-hmm. You think it means that that in Haruno's opinion, Yukino would have to ask for a wish for herself rather than ask for someone else's wish to be granted?
Yeah, she would have chosen herself. Made her own wish instead of saying, go grant someone else's.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Because that's what Yukino did. She told Hikigaya to go help somebody else instead.
Sadly, I kind of agree with her.
Like, Haruno has good points. It's just that her pessimism is so strong that she takes a lot of her good points to far extremes. Like the codependence thing, which we're still going back on whether or not that's actually Hikigaya's relationship with Yui and Yukino. But Hikigaya, like, as Haruno is saying all of this about his relationship with those two, Hikigaya, like, says to himself, he knows all of this was true. He knows that he masked his actions and the intentions behind it by calling them a man's pride. That was fake. There was something else to it other than that.
Spencer, what do you think on all this?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I didn't really quite understand what she meant by the compensation bit. But the thing that was kind of telling for me is when she just kind of has a moment of vulnerability and says that she's done her own share of deceiving for 20 years now. Haruno basically looks at Hikigaya, I feel like, and sees herself just younger.
Not by much.
But rather than trying to steer Hikigaya in a different direction, a better direction, she's not really doing that because she's so pessimistic. Like, she doesn't really think that these genuine feelings actually exist. And she's basically using this like, I'm just gonna be straight with you here, kid. Life sucks. And that's what you're gonna have to get used to. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you're going to realize that everything just sucks. But at the same time, she's saying this all with just a really sad face, and just she really just wants to see something good happen. But at the same time, she's not really willing to try for it herself. She feels like she's gone too far down the line to actually do anything at this point.
She calls her whole life a sham.
Yeah, she's just got a very pessimistic outlook that she herself can't really get out from underneath, and she doesn't really have the same support network that Hikigaya clearly has, not just from being able to interact with Yukino and Yui and having the fun times and having the down times, but also just all the other side characters and stuff that he's gotten to know and are willing to help him.
He has a lot of friends.
It.
He has Hiratsuka.
Yeah, he has a lot of friends. He's got Komachi. He's got a whole bunch of people that he can talk to rather frankly with. But everything that I see here is just a lot of Haruno projecting on these three. And it really makes me wish that there was someone in her life that actually could tell her that just everything's going to be okay, even if it's not, just being a friend for a friend's sake or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's after all of this happens that Hiratsuka comes along with Hikigaya just sitting on the steps, and she takes him out for a bite to eat. And throughout all of this, I felt like Hiratsuka is much closer to the mark of actually knowing what these kids should be doing.
She does have 30 years of experience, so...
Yeah, she has 30
Yeah, she's got 10 more than Haruno. I mean, look at it this way. Hiratsuka still isn't married, but she's by leagues more optimistic than Haruno ever will be. Because Hiratsuka understands that there's so much more to life than what these kids and Haruno are looking at. Like, they're just looking at the stuff in front of their faces, the emotions they're feeling right now. They're not looking past it towards all the experiences and all the other relationships they're going to make moving forward after high school. Life doesn't end at high school. She's practically told Hikigaya that before. So, yeah, she takes him out on another drive because she can tell he needs it. And they stop by a batting cage.
Batting cage.
That was pretty cool. Like,
and Hiratsuka is a slugger. She is a ringer.
Hiratsuka was just knocking them out of the park. She was hitting every single ball onto that home run plate at the back of the batting cage. It's like, holy crap. Like, she is really good. Why didn't she go into sports? She could have just been amazing.
Yeah, she's pretty badass, honestly.
She's also yelling old baseball players.
Yeah, not current
yeah,
ones,
like
but
old famous
old ones.
baseball players. Very Hiratsuka thing to do, honestly.
Well, I mean, it's a great way to kind of oust your frustration. And I mean, after a very full experience, I guess, I don't know how long they've been doing this whole prom planning for in their time, but after the many weeks of planning, and Hiratsuka's been doing plenty of helping too. She had been kind of liaisoning between the PTO and the school for the sake of Hikigaya, Yui, and Yukino. Like, you know, she's got plenty of frustration too to get out there. So going to a batting cage is a great way to do it. But after the batting cage is what's important. And by the way, we are at the credits by the time that this last conversation between Hiratsuka and Hikigaya happens. It's been the whole episode, and we're not even going to get a credit sequence. We're going to watch this conversation while the credits roll. And the episode is named after Hiratsuka. I think
Who has been in this fucking episode up until this point?
Yeah. She like briefly appears in the staff room, and she was watching Yui and Hikigaya during their dance, but we didn't see that part. She doesn't really show up, make a presence till the very end during the credits, and the episode is named after her. I just find that very funny. It's very fitting for this show. SNAFU likes to do that. But what did they talk about?
They talk about what Haruno told them, and it just Hiratsuka just comes out and says like, so what'd she tell you? It's like, clearly you talk to each other. He's like, oh, she told me lots of things. She told me that I can't get drunk. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, not in the actual drinking way, but a mood or relationship. And then he straight up tells her that Haruno says that he's codependent.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of at a loss at that point.
This is the first time that
like,
Hikigaya had... Sorry, I'll let you go.
Yeah, Hiratsuka is just like, yeah, that sounds like something that she would say. She's just a very skeptic, pessimistic person. But then ultimately Hiratsuka says what I've been thinking really this entire time, and if not this particular episode, is that you're going to take all of the feelings, all of the emotions and memories that you've built up with these two over this past year, and you're going to shove all of that into one tiny little bottle that's labeled codependence. Do you really think that's right? And it's like an epiphany for Hikigaya. It's like, finally someone says what should have been said before just to get him out of this funk. It's like, dude, she's messing with you.
Yeah.
At least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can use multiple words.
Yeah.
It's like there's other emotions you can have. There's other parts that can be in a relationship too. Codependence is just one tiny word. Does that really sum up the entirety of you and your relationships? Are they really that simple that they can be like summarized up with just one tiny word? No, of course not. She's messing with you. Yeah, 100%. You know, Hiratsuka even says like, yeah, you know, that codependency thing, that's certainly something that Haruno would say. But Hiratsuka admits that she doesn't have that kind of skeptical, pessimistic viewpoint. She truly believes, in fact, she assures Hikigaya that his relationship with the others is not codependency. Honestly, I was so happy to hear that. That was the moment I've been waiting a long time for, that I asked for several episodes ago, about wanting the sensei to come in and take care of the main characters. She didn't bitch slap Haruno like I wanted her to. Maybe she will in the next 2 episodes, who knows? But she told Hikigaya what he needed to hear. And it was the truth. Things are not as bad as he feels, as any of them feel. They're friends. Just, you know, they've gotten screwed with pretty hard by a lot of other nefarious people.
They've gotten pretty screwed hard with Haruno, but they also have their own emotions and feelings that they built over time, even before Haruno came into the picture, touting her
superiority complex.
Yeah. Her superiority complex, her just scary word, just twirling it around in front of them is like, haha, look, I can sum you up completely. It's like, honestly, she hasn't been around you all this time. She can't know everything about you three.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
Haruno's just assuming.
More to you, like, Hiratsuka's seen more of them just on a daily basis, just being their teacher, to the point where it's just like, I've seen more of you kids. Like, I already know that there's more to you than just a couple little words. You guys have something that's a good friendship. You just need to see it.
Yeah, cut yourself some slack for a change.
That's a lesson for everyone out there listening. Sometimes you gotta cut yourself some slack.
Give yourself some breathing room.
Yeah, and don't listen to anybody only 2 years older than you saying, oh, I know all about you. You're codependent. You know, you should hang out with an older sister sometime like myself. 2 years.
I mean, unless you're into that thing.
2 years older. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really acts like she knows that much more when, let's be real, with her 20 years of experience that she keeps referring to, she probably hasn't had as many wholesome experiences as they have. Like, she probably didn't go on a camping trip like the ones they did to help out those middle school students. She probably never negotiated with a synergistic management solution person. She probably never planned a Christmas party or a prom or any of the other stuff they did. These three characters have done so much. They've had a really full life in the span of 1 year. So I doubt that Haruno ever had the patience or the willpower to try something like that without looking at it through a pessimistic lens first.
I also just don't think that Haruno thinks that people can change. I don't think that she has it in her to think that people can actually improve.
Mm-hmm. Her faith in people is extremely low. She doesn't believe in change. Fact of the matter is that she will change one way or another. We all change as people the older we get. Her viewpoints will slowly skew over time. Maybe it'll get worse, but maybe it could get better. You know, as you get older and you accumulate more experiences, you start to forget those strong emotions you held behind these kinds of moments you had in high school or as an early college student. So it's like change is a real thing, but she is hard pressed to not believe it.
And the other thing is that to change for the better takes effort. Like, you have to try. Haruno isn't actively trying to change her life at this point.
Right.
These three, they're trying to work through their issues, albeit with limited amounts of forward movement, it would appear. They just kind of keep spinning their wheels, but they still have a chance to try at this point.
They still have at least a chance to make things better. You know, they can put effort into it. Haruno clearly isn't willing to do that herself.
She's kind of almost living vicariously through these kids while also putting her pessimistic lens over top of them.
Mm-hmm. Again, really weird because she's a college student. She should have better things to do than all of this, but...
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
What does she do?
Yeah.
She's obviously getting ready to try and take over the company, but she doesn't want to, or she doesn't care enough. But she has enough time to make sure her little sister knows whether or not she really wants to do this, because that just means challenge.
Well then, overall thoughts? Any thoughts you guys had on this episode that we haven't covered so far? Anything that you wanted to mention?
No, I think that covers everything that actually happened in the episode. I'm really happy that we're getting close to the end now. I'm really excited to see what the final, 2 episodes now?
Supposedly.
Yeah,
what the final 2 episodes are going to bring us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see where
because
things
the preview for next episode, it had Yukino, Hikigaya, and Hiratsuka sitting opposite Yukino's mom, and Yukino's mom, I think at one point had a slightly shocked face. So I'm just like, ooh, what did they say? What's happening here?
They actually managed to surprise Palpatine herself?
It seemed like it, at least for that moment.
Okay, yeah, we'll
it looked
find
more
out.
like a relief face, but once again, I am the dissenting voice here, but I will give a positive review for this show in one line. It's giving people a manual on how not to try and work through your problems.
It's fair. Yeah, it's a good example of how to not process your emotions and experiences. You know, not everything has to be a negative outlook for you.
This is, once again, this show started out as a claim to be a romantic comedy with some mishaps and twists and turns. Hikigaya was supposed to be a self-insert character on some level because he basically acted like he had no personality before. But as you guys have stated multiple times, as I've noticed, the characters have grown. They are their own characters, so you can't. So people, if you can still see yourself in any of these characters, you should look at how they're handling these situations and think, do you handle them the same way? If you understand the frustration that they're going through, or the frustration that we're seeing from the outside, this is just a PSA for anyone watching this show or any show, honestly. If you're seeing yourself in a character, make sure that you're seeing the good of you as well as any of their flaws. If you're unable to see those, obviously you need look towards your friends. And if you're watching anime, you know you're going to have friends because they're always going to be somebody you can drag in to watch a show.
Yeah, there's takeaways. You can definitely take away something from this show. If you can relate to the characters in at least some way, then not only do the characters feel more real to you, but I mean you can learn something from them. So that's what makes the show worth watching. Well, that was a pretty big nugget of wisdom right there to drop off for the end of the episode. Good job, Trey.
It's part of why I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right. We'll let you believe that.
Eat just wise Buddha.
We just needed a dissenting opinion to make things interesting, but we'll take that too. Okay, well, then, yeah, overall great episode. I think it went fairly fast. I enjoyed it, personally. Got the really good moment with Yui. Got that moment where Yukino did tell her mom what she wanted. And in that moment, maybe Yukino couldn't tell that her mom wasn't thoroughly satisfied, but Yukino did look her mom in the eye during that conversation, and I respected that. After all the stuff that Yukino's gone through, I was surprised because I would have figured that her self-confidence is so low she wouldn't have been able to do that, but she did. Yeah, and then, of course, the moment with Hikigaya and Hiratsuka at the very end. That was like the best way to end off the episode. It's not the ramen date, but I'll take it. So, no, very good. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next episode. 2 more left, boys. 2 more. And hopefully we go out with a bang. All right, then. We will do the outro and end off the podcast. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to our podcast today. I'm Andrew.
I'm Trey.
I'm Spencer.
And please check out our previous podcasts if you haven't already. We do this every week where we recap each episode of SNAFU as they come out. Please subscribe to us on Twitter at Advent_7. Subscribe to us on YouTube and let us know in the comments below what you thought of this episode and if there's anything else we didn't cover today. Thanks for listening. We will see you all next time. Yaga bye.
Yaga bye.
Goodbye.
Also, everyone send a happy birthday to Andrew when you see this video. It'll be out like 2 weeks later, but send a happy birthday.
I'm cutting that part out.
No, you're not. I'll just post it in the comments.
Cringe.
Oh, man.